All right, so today let's just start off with a few minutes together to breathe and be aware of our bodies and get settled into the space. Hi there, Stephanie. And just to relax and come home to the present moment. Breathe and enjoy the Sangha power, community power, and the aliveness that goes along with that. Right? If we showed up to work and nobody was there, we'd just go home, go take a nap, right? But when we show up to work and there's a lot of people there, we feel, oh, I better get to work. So in our meditation, we can feel the community presence, and that can encourage us to really come home and exfoliate this breathing in this present moment. So from this place of sitting and being somewhat still and being aware of our breathing, we can check into the body and see if there is any pain, if there's any uncomfortableness. Give your body some kind attention. From your feet, your legs, your butt, your lower back, upper body. Check in and see if there's any change that you can bring to your body to make it more comfortable. Yeah, really see if there is anything you can do to adjust your position so that it's more sweet, more lovely, more enjoyable. If there's no pain in the body, if there's no particular place of tightness, then there's a lot to enjoy. We can become aware of the whole body just sitting here and enjoy that. Enjoy this sense of relaxation and wholeness, fullness. Just this one moment of presentness and direct experience is a doorway to so much joy, to so much relaxation and peace and really coming home-ness. So giving yourself the full permission to come home, even if it's just for one moment. body completely calm, relaxed, safe, in the present moment, with the power of our mindfulness to face and relax and dissolve any tension that comes up, mental or physical. And as we breathe, being open to changing our position if we need to, and also feeling this collective mindfulness, the power of the community that is also practicing like this. And allow that collective awakening that's quite sincere and quite real to nourish our sense of safety and our willingness to relax, willingness to breathe and be at peace. Okay, so let's continue with our Buddha book club. And we left off last time with Tay talking about the importance of the beloved community, the Sangha. And he spoke about some experiences that he had with the humanitarian, the civil rights. So this was also one of Martin Luther King Jr.'s aspirations and intentions, was to form this beloved community, this Sangha. And in our lives, it's quite clear to see that without a community, without a Sangha, we are just like a drop of water trying to get back to the ocean. But when we have a collective, a community of practice, whether that's for social justice, whether that's for our transforming suffering in the world, we're supported and we're empowered to really reach the ocean, right? Not just a separate drop, but all these drops coming together and flowing. There's a lot of empowerment to refresh and restart and not kind of get stuck in these long-term depressive states or these fear states, but we have a restart point. We have a refresh point in the Sangha, in the community. And this is not something we should minimize, but something we should expand, right? It's one of those things that we can get attached to. We can get attached to the Sangha, because the Sangha is the community of practitioners on the path supporting one another. And we can make use of it. So that is the group of people who are practicing together, generating mindfulness, generating present moment awareness, concentration. So that's kind of our sharpness and our contemplativeness, I would say, that we can bring to each and every moment. And then also generating insight, so generating a deeper way of understanding. So we can look at a particular situation or experience that comes up, for example, and we can see into its true nature. we can see that it is impermanent, and we can see that it is free of or empty of separate self-entities, right? So that we get into a difficult situation at work or in our family life or in our relationships that we have, we can easily fall into this this trap of blaming that person or blaming ourselves in this closed-in way. But an insight that we can bring to it is the insight of interbeing, right? So no one is existing separate from anyone else or anything else. Situations are taking place in a way that is a lot deeper than they appear. There's no one to blame, but certainly there are people to help. And with that insight of interbeing, no self, no separate self-entity, we can step from that intention of helping and caretaking rather than blaming and controlling, right? It's the parent who keeps punishing their child. Well, the child is acting that way because of their environment, their conditions that they've grown up in. Punishing them isn't going to help, right? So we take that caretaking mindset with insight. Insight supports us. Right, so we'll continue with our reading, and as we go through this, if you are inspired by something, or if you feel you want to ask a question, or you want to bring up an insight or an experience that you've had related to what we're reading, just raise your hand or say, "Hey, I'd like to share something," and we will we'll stop, we'll take a break, and open up the space for you to share or to ask a question to me or to the group. Okay? So let's continue. The opposite of fear. When I met Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1966 during the Vietnam War, one of the things we discussed was the importance of building community, or as we call it in Buddhism, Sangha. Dr. King knew that community building was vital. He was aware that without a community, little could be accomplished. A solid sense of siblinghood gives us strength when we feel fear or despair, and helps sustain our power of love and compassion. Brotherhood and sisterhood can heal and transform our lives. Dr. King spent much of his time building a community that he called the Beloved Community. Our beloved community, our Sangha, is a group of people who together practice generating mindfulness, concentration, and insight. Everyone feels embraced and supported by the collective energy generated by the practice. Often, our feelings of loneliness and isolation feed our fears and encourage them to grow. In the Sangha, there are people who are solid enough in the practice that they can sit with us and share their energy of mindfulness. I like this notion of not necessarily someone like another member of the Sangha to be there for you to spill your issues into. Of course, they can also do that. When someone can listen deeply, that's really nice and it's helpful. But just to be with them and they can share their energy of mindfulness, their presence, that power of lucidity, brightness, present moment awareness, that's not so judgmental and trapped and tangled up and self-fixated, right? But that power of present moment awareness. We can call on them for support. Dear brother, dear sister, I need your presence. I have a big pain, and by myself I cannot embrace it, so please help me, right? This notion of to embrace that pain, embrace that suffering, rather than to kind of figure it out or solve it or deal with it, right? Make a deal with that suffering, make a deal with the situation, how we believe it or how we see it, right? Well, I missed out on that, but now I'm going to get this to make up for it. No, to embrace, right? To show up to share that light of mindfulness, present moment awareness that's so much more vivid and alive and fresh and bright than these deals that we want to make with our mistakes or, what we really want to get, what we really want to avoid, but just to embrace here in the present moment. So we can call on them for support, these members of the Sangha, these community members. Dear brother, dear sister, dear sibling, I need your presence. I have a big pain, and by myself I cannot embrace it. So please help me. We breathe together, and with our combined energy of mindfulness, we are able to recognize, embrace, and transform that pain. We know we are part of the Sangha river. We are not isolated drops of water. And we will make it to the ocean together. When there is healing and peace, we know it's a real Sangha. With the support of the Sangha, the practice is easier, and life in general becomes much easier. Your family or your group of friends can be your Sangha. It is whatever community supports you. Building a Sangha means building your safety, your support, and your happiness. And it's a joy that we all have that opportunity here to build a Sangha, right? To support one another and kind of be on the ground floor of Sangha building. Curious, before we continue, does anyone have any question or idea about this concept of Sangha and this community? I mean, for me, I felt most of my life that I was not a part of any kind of community. Even to be like a part of my family community, I didn't really feel a lot of times that I was, right? So I'm curious, does anyone have a question or a comment about their experience in Sangha or with Sangha, or the concept of building Sangha, what that kind of means to you, or how you're seeing it or working with it?
I'm going to second, Bhante, what you said. It was certainly my experience growing up. So I feel happily empowered having met everybody here when I decided to start walking this path. And it's actually been a long time to finally get to here. I noticed a true lightness in my heart. And I'm like, that's amazing, because I don't really even know any of these people. A few people I've connected with, very little. But that it has brought a lightness into my life for the other parts where there is no community at all. So I noticed the difference, and I'm very appreciative of it. So yeah, I think this is something that everybody can benefit from. So thank you.
One of the ways of looking at this that we can I think we can take refuge in is that it's through our experience, it's through our mindfulness that we kind of build community here. So it's not that usual way of, okay, you seem friendly, so let's go out and have drinks. And, you get drunk enough to embarrass yourself. And now this, not you personally, Meredith, but I've had a lot of those experiences. And now we're in community, right? Because we've embarrassed ourselves in front of other people. But it's more that through our vulnerability and the showing up itself, the mindfulness itself, the practice itself, that we're walking the path together. And this is quite deep, because when we gather together here, it's a practice. I would say if you're not here to practice, you won't be able to stay here. You won't get the benefit of it. Maybe some people just want to listen to me read or something like that, but it's really a way that we are training our mind, and we're studying, and all of these teachings are to be applied, and really to be applied in the present moment. So we're in community through our mutual practice, rather than that we're mutually consuming something or believing in something even. Yeah. So I get to know people here by, just through the exposure. And I don't necessarily know them in an intellectual way or a psychological way, maybe, or a story-based way, but I know that they're practitioners. And I know that transforming suffering is quite important to them. And I know that they are, consistent and wholehearted and willing to be vulnerable, and willing to give up rather than just chase after, to just, try to meet their desires and distract themselves. So through that, we do kind of get to know one another more and more deeply. And then I like to see it a lot that we're setting the foundation for a lot of different things. By showing up here and having a mutual understanding, that's almost a platform on which can be built on in many different ways. Yeah.
For me, it feels as though I'm living a double life. It's not that I hide anything, but it's just that when I'm in other groups, it's almost as though I am just existing. Because, as you said, I don't feel as though I truly fit in the conversations that people have, the way that they think. It's just like we're existing. And then when I am in this space with you all, I always say, this is my safe space. This is where I feel like I truly belong. I feel the connectedness. It's what I truly want, and it's what I feel it's right for me. So.
Thank you. Okay, so let's continue with our reading. Deep listening and loving speech. When communication is cut off, we all suffer. When no one listens to us or understands us, we are like bombs ready to explode. Compassionate listening brings about healing. Sometimes only 10 minutes of listening deeply can transform us and bring a smile back to our lips. Many of us have lost our capacity for listening and using loving speech in our families. It may be that no one is capable of listening to anyone else, so we feel very lonely even within our own families. We go to a therapist hoping that she will be able to listen to us. But many therapists also have deep suffering within. Sometimes they cannot listen as deeply as they would like. So if we really love someone, we need to train ourselves to be deep listeners. We also need to train ourselves to use loving speech. We have lost our capacity to say things calmly. We get irritated too easily. Every time we open our mouths, our speech is sour or bitter. We have lost our capacity for speaking with kindness. Without this ability, we cannot succeed in restoring harmony, love, and happiness. In Buddhism, we speak of bodhisattvas, wise and compassionate beings who stay on earth to alleviate the suffering of others. The Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, also called Kuan Yin, has a great capacity for listening with compassion and true presence. Kuan Yin is the Bodhisattva who can listen and understand the sounds of the world, the cries of suffering. You have to practice breathing mindfully in and out so that compassion always stays with you. You listen without giving advice or passing judgment. You can say to yourself about the other person, I am listening to them just because I want to relieve their suffering. This is called compassionate listening. You have to listen in such a way that compassion remains with you the whole time you are listening. That is the art. If halfway through listening, irritation or anger comes up, then you cannot listen deeply anymore. You have to practice in such a way that every time the energy of irritation and anger comes up, you can breathe in and out mindfully and continue to hold compassion within you. No matter what the other person says, even if there is a lot of injustice in their way of seeing things, even if they condemn or blame you, you continue to sit very quietly, breathing in and out. If you are not in good shape, if you don't feel that you can go on listening in this way, let the other person know. Ask your friend, dear one, can we continue in a few days? I need to renew myself. I need to practice so that I can listen to you in the best way I can. Practice more walking meditation, more mindful breathing, and more sitting meditation to restore your capacity for compassionate listening. It comes up very strongly for me about oftentimes I don't have the capacity to listen to myself in that way, right? My mind is too jumbled up, too uncomfortable, too complicated, too foggy, and I just don't have that capacity to listen deeply to my suffering. And then what happens? I suffer more, or I act unskillfully from that place of avoidance. Walking meditation, mindful breathing, more sitting meditation to increase that capacity for compassionate listening. Walking with the Sangha. One wonderful thing to do with your community is walking meditation. When we are physically active together, moving, it is easy to feel supported by the collective energy. It is good to begin your practice of walking meditation with a group to get the support. You can ask a friend to go with you, or you can even take the hand of a child and walk with him or her. And if any of you have a 3-5-year-old around you somehow, what a joy that will be to take their hand and just walk in a park or outside, even if it's cold or chilly. At that age, they're very open to walking around, to exploring. So if you have that nearby, don't hesitate to get their support. To practice mindful walking on your own, you can begin by making a contract with a staircase. You vow that you will always go up or down that staircase mindfully, with very solid steps. If it happens that halfway up you realize that one of your steps didn't have your true presence in it, you go down and begin again. If you can do it successfully with that staircase, then wherever you go, you will be able to dwell in the present moment. You can also make a contract with a particular distance, perhaps from your work area to the restroom, and vow that when you walk that distance, every step will be solid and mindful. Otherwise, you will go back and do it again. It is a wonderful way to learn how to live every moment of your daily life deeply, resisting being carried away by your habit energy. Walk with your feet, not with your head. Bring your attention to your feet and walk. Walk in such a way that joy and real life are possible right here and now. When we do walking meditation as a group, we produce a collective energy of mindfulness and peace that nourishes us and helps heal us. We may not be able to walk together right now, but we can certainly breathe together and sit together and feel that support and feel that presence. Those constant reminders to come home, breathe, to be solid and mindful with each breath. Every moment deeply, not being carried away by our habit energy. So much of the practice is allowing. The habit energy is always to do, to get, to one place to the next. But the allowing is kind of a falling away of any friction, any involvement. Yeah, maybe there's this quality that I know I have where I'm not fully sure if I want to take care of myself. to relax, to be sweet, to be lovely, to be gentle, right? I'm not really sure. I do want that, but I'm not really sure if that's what I want to do. And this mindfulness is really each moment to give that full allowance. No friction, no judgment, no control. I don't need to earn my peace or my happiness. Just to allow. And that judgment or that critical comes up, and then it's just to allow, it's just to gentle, it's just to not take it so seriously and come home to this present moment. Collective mindfulness. We can continue improving the quality of our practice by being in regular contact with our community. A community of practitioners generating a collective energy of mindfulness and concentration will help us a lot. Particularly when we are just beginning to practice, our mindfulness and concentration might not be strong enough for us to recognize and embrace our pain, our sorrow, and our fear. With a community supporting us, we have a better chance. When we are suffering, we can come to the Sangha and say, "Dear friends, this is my pain, my despair, my anger. It is too much for me. Please help to hold this block of pain and sorrow and fear in me." And we could say that, right? We could come here and say that, but it's more we're showing up. That's our heart. Our heart is saying that, and we're showing up with that presence and that embodiment, right? Dear friends, this is my pain, my despair, my anger. It is too much for me. Please help to hold this block of pain and sorrow and fear in me. We allow the Sangha to embrace us, to carry us with its powerful collective energy of mindfulness and concentration. Suddenly we feel that we are able to be with our fear and embrace our pain and sorrow. Sitting with the Sangha is like that. Sitting with the Sangha like that, practicing breathing mindfully in and out, will bring you relief and begin to transform and heal you. The presence of a Sangha in our life as a practitioner is very important. So as a practitioner, we always think of helping to build a Sangha in our neighborhood where we live. In the Buddhist tradition, we call our practice our dharma body. We have our physical body, but if we have a spiritual practice, we also have another body, our dharma body. With the dharma body, we can cope with difficulties and suffering. And if our dharma body is strong, we can help other people. Dharma may be understood as the wise teachings, skillful teachings. There is the spoken dharma and the written dharma, but there is also a living dharma. When we practice mindful breathing, when we practice walking meditation, even if we don't say anything and we don't listen to any dharma talk, we are embodying the living dharma. When you see a brother or a sister or a sibling who walks mindfully and enjoys every step, you see that she is embodying the living dharma. radiating peace and joy and life all around, is what we call the living Dharma. Yeah, just a moment, just a breath, just a single seed, a single grain of rice, right, of mindfulness, of present moment awareness. That's enough. That's the point. This mindful state, or this getting into the groove, is not the point. Meditating 5, 10, 15 minutes, it's just that, that kind of business-oriented mind, right? We want to get an investment according to what we put in, so I better do 15 minutes. Just kind of throw all that in the trash for a little bit. Probably 99% of the things that I throw in the trash, I'm, digging in there a few minutes later to get it back out and involve myself with it, right? Somehow. So, but just for that moment to put it to the side and just to come home and just allow full enjoyment, full presence, full peace with that living Dharma that's right there, right in the present moment. Just a single moment to stop and breathe and see things for how they are when we're going for a walk. That's enough. That's fine. Just enjoy it. Just know it. That's where the freedom is. The Buddha's Sangha. The first thing the Buddha did after his enlightenment at the foot of the Bodhi tree was to look around for elements with which to build a Sangha. The Buddha knew, just as Dr. King understood more than 25 centuries later, that without a Sangha he could not accomplish his dream, his career as a Buddha. Without a community, without a Sangha, a Buddha cannot do very much. It is like a musician with no instrument. The Buddha was an excellent Sangha builder. In no time at all, he built a monastic Sangha of 1,250 people. It wasn't always easy, but he learned we too can learn to build a Sangha. We are all aware that suffering is there in ourselves and in the world. We want to do something, to be something, to help reduce the suffering. Many of us feel helpless because the suffering is so great. On our own, it doesn't seem that we can do much to alleviate that suffering. It is overwhelming. We become sick and depressed. When the Buddha was a young man, he had the same feeling. He saw all the suffering around him. He saw that even as a king, he wouldn't be able to do much to change it. So he decided not to become a king. He sought another way. What motivated him to become a monk, to practice, was his deep desire to help people suffer less. Monks, nuns, and lay practitioners are motivated by the same desire as the Buddha, to do something to alleviate the suffering in ourselves and in the world. The suffering inside us reflects the suffering in the world. If we understand our suffering, we understand the suffering of the world. If we can transform our own suffering, we will be able to help transform the suffering in the world. And that is precisely what the Buddha did. When I was a young monk in Vietnam during the decades of war, the suffering was immense. Millions of people died, not just soldiers, but many civilians, not only adults, but also children. We were inundated with suffering. We wanted to do something to end the war. I saw very clearly that we could do very little if we acted on our own. We had to come together as a Sangha, then we could do a lot. Everyone feels very much the same. Our planet is beset by so much danger. There is so much violence and suffering in the world. If you allow the plague of helplessness to overwhelm you, you will go insane. You want to do something, first of all to survive, and then to help reduce the suffering. And we've seen, just as the Buddha saw, that if we don't have a Sangha, we cannot do very much. So we come together and we stick to the Sangha through thick and thin, because we know that there is no way out of this situation except with a Sangha. When we see the suffering of the world, we know that by comparison, the suffering inside us is hardly anything. That realization lessens our suffering right away. And I think that this is, it's kind of a weird insight and a weird effect that goes along with it, but this is a crazy world. This is a suffering world. And it's easy to get trapped in this false way of thinking of like, I'm a mess and I'm suffering and I'm confused and I'm not really that skillful and I did this and I had this happen and, it's kind of scary. I think like this, the whole world is suffering. The whole world is mad, crazy, in such, visceral ways, scary, intense ways. So this suffering that we feel inside of ourselves is not our isolated, separated from the world, we're something wrong with us, right? We're always feeling there's something wrong with me, right? I know I'm not the worst person in the world, and I know other people suffer and are problematic, whatever, but I kind of know there's something wrong with me. And I remember when I first went to live at this Zen meditation center, Upaya Zen Center, when I was 21. And I was having this practice interview with one of the Zen monks there, his name is Shinzan Palma, and he's from Mexico, and he's a really wonderful teacher, just kind of like a Zen Santa Claus. And he told me at this practice interview, and I was even more unstable than I am now, more suffering and conflicted than I am now. And I've got plenty of suffering even now. He said, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. This is the suffering, right? We think it's some boogeyman, it's some complicated situation from our past or our future worries and obligations, and that this has somehow defined us, and we're locked in this trap, this maze, this nightmare, right? But actually, what we feel, what we are aware of, this is the suffering. This is what the Buddha taught about. There is suffering. This is that suffering. It's not our self-fixated, this tanglement, this problem that we've got to solve, being this kind of person or that kind of person, wealthy, poor, upper class, lower class, black, white. These things are, there's a context to every situation. We can't, say that there's not. But this feeling of suffering, of this knot, this tanglement, this worry, this fear, this anxiety, this depression, this is the suffering. And when we see the suffering of the world, when we recognize the suffering of the world, right, that is very real, we know that by comparison, the suffering inside us is hardly anything. Okay? You're not just something's not wrong with you, but actually you're quite a good person and a sincere person, right? And a wholesome, lovely person. But yeah, there is suffering. And we can see that especially when we look to Ukraine, right? When we look to children that aren't having access to food and water in 2023, right? I mean, there's plenty of suffering in the world. So we can immediately feel that this suffering that is just inside us is actually hardly anything. There is suffering. It's a mark of reality. It's not a mark of your real true person and a real true story. And this is somehow liberating because this is an insight into the first noble truth. There isn't suffering. Not there is Bhante's problem. Right? That realization lessens our suffering right away. Getting in touch with the suffering of the world, we feel much less alone. And our own suffering feels smaller already. Now this is why we like to watch videos of people kind of going through difficult situations, right? People acting ridiculous, people having a breakdown, something like that. A Karen, right? There's this term, a Karen, someone yelling, and we see that and we say, oh, I'm not that bad, and we feel quite good already. Or, we see cops, right? We see the cops show. Someone's getting arrested. Someone's addicted to drugs. Someone's going through really difficulty. Well, I'm not in that situation, and our suffering lessens immediately, right? There is that quality. So there is suffering. Or we hear someone else is going through what we are going through, right? Or we tell someone our suffering, and they say, "Oh yeah, okay, I can understand that. Are you okay?" Our suffering lessens because we can see through the trap of it, of this separate self-entity. We can see through this misperception of a wave as being separate from the ocean. No, it couldn't be. There is suffering. It's not stuck, it's not trapped in this body. And so our wish, our aspiration, right, our sincerity for suffering to end is also not trapped in this body. Right? It is spreading out, it is blessing out, it's filling up the room. Right? But when we are isolated, when we are closed off, when we don't have a Sangha, it's easy to feel that trap, stuck, locked in. Or there is something wrong with me, there is a problem with me. Well, maybe your problem is that you're not in a Sangha, you're not a part of a community. Right? You need more support. Coming together as a Sangha, we have a collective aspiration. There is a collective willingness energy, and desire. That's the kind of energy that helps us realize how very much we can do together. I believe that the next Buddha will no longer be an individual. It will be a Sangha, because one Buddha is no longer enough. We have to be a Sangha. We can come together in a way that nourishes our joy as well as our sense of shared humanity. We feel joy in doing things together as a Sangha, smiling, singing, working together. During the time we are together, we develop our happiness, our purification, and our aspiration. As our aspiration becomes stronger and stronger, we can face many difficulties and take action together to help reduce the suffering in the world. Okay? As our aspiration becomes stronger and stronger, we can face many difficulties and take action together to help reduce the suffering in the world, for ourselves, for each other, and for the world. Okay? We can get a lot of joy working together as a Sangha. That kind of joy will heal us and help heal the world. Without the joy of siblinghood, we cannot go very far. Loving kindness is nothing but siblinghood, brotherhood, sisterhood, understanding, and a nurturing love. It is not romantic love. Romantic love is not enough. It is short-lived. And it's deeply, deeply conditional. You look like that, so I love you. You will do that for me, so I love you. Siblinghood, rather, is a long-lasting love that can sustain us and help us realize our vow. We should get in touch with the awareness that without a Sangha, without being genuinely together, we cannot help transform the world's fear and suffering. We should learn how to breathe in and out to release our tension and embrace our painful feelings. When there is a feeling of fear, anger, or despair, we have to know how to take care of that feeling. When there is a conflict, we have to know how to practice deep listening, compassionate listening, and loving speech in order to restore communication. That is something we can learn only if we know how to practice. Our practice helps transform the suffering in ourselves, in our families, in our community, and in the world. But the practice will not be easy if there is no Sangha. Building your Sangha. The first thing we need to do is look around and identify the elements of our Sangha. We have to start like the Buddha did. We mustn't wait for our next retreat or summer vacation. We need to join a Sangha or start building a Sangha right away at home. Then we can continue our practice. We can do walking, sitting, breathing, listening to the bell, and mindfulness. Sangha building is a very important and noble work. Every one of us should think of doing this as soon as possible. Please build a Sangha, a true one, a community that can generate brotherhood and sisterhood, peace, and the energy of mindfulness. If there isn't an existing Sangha that is close enough or suitable for you, please start a Sangha in your home, in your town, and create a refuge for yourself, your children, your friends, and your family. Group energy is stronger than our individual energy by itself. And if you know how to borrow from it, you will be strong enough to hold your feelings and not be overwhelmed by suffering. When you throw a rock into the river, no matter how small it is, it will sink to the bottom. But if you have a boat, you can keep many rocks afloat. The same is true of a Sangha. If you are alone, you may sink into the river of suffering. But if you have a community of practice to help carry you, and you allow it to embrace your pain and sorrow, you will float. Many of us have benefited greatly from the collective energy of the Sangha. If you see that the Sangha is precious and crucial for your practice, try your best to get a group of people to practice with you, and everyone will benefit. That is your lifeboat. And for this Sangha, us together, this is not my Sangha. This is our Sangha. And, we want to see, we want to find out how we can contribute, how we can support this Sangha, how it can develop, how it can grow, how it can become more established. This is noble work. This is worthwhile work. And for people coming from a Western background, we just don't have the cultural context for building Sangha and for, feeding it and nourishing it and developing it. Whereas if this was in a completely Asian context, which of course it's not, but there's like a natural, there's a natural collaboration that goes on there for, building a physical space, or, it tends to revolve a lot around the relationship with the monk, because the monk and the group of monks are not making money. So where they stay and what they eat and all of that is kind of considered. It makes it very practical and engaged. We don't necessarily need that, but we certainly could use, I know, more people who are skillful to, host group meditation sessions, to facilitate these kind of, all of this is just to plant the seeds, because it is noble work and it's a joy if we can collaborate together, if we can work together. And it's not just that we don't have the cultural context for Sangha building, but it's also that we're doing this online. And that's very, of course, we haven't been online for, up until 10 years ago, this kind of thing wouldn't really be possible. So, naturally it's going to feel and it's not necessarily so intuitive, but actually the substance of it is fully alive, because it's our minds that are coming together here in the present moment and practicing together, which is even more paramount than our bodies, right? Even more like real than our bodies. Our minds are coming together. So, yeah, we're all in this is a treasure store. This is a very precious place that we have this kind of foundation that's set up for us to build on as a Sangha, and a lot of people who want to practice together and collaborate and support one another. Yeah. But being in community is difficult, right? It's not easy, and that's where the benefits come from. To accept and kind of embrace that not easiness, not to avoid it, but actually step forward into it. And the power of a Sangha is that people are going to be there to meet us as we step forward. So it says here, this will be the last part of our reading for today. When you throw a rock into the river, no matter how small it is, it will sink to the bottom. But if you have a boat, you can keep many rocks afloat. The same is true of a Sangha. If you are alone, you may sink into the river of suffering. But if you have a community of practice to help carry you, and you allow it to embrace your pain and sorrow, you will float. Many of us have benefited greatly from the collective energy of the Sangha. If you see that the Sangha is precious and crucial for your practice, try your best to get a group of people to practice with you, and everyone will benefit. That is your lifeboat. Right? And it's kind of quick and simple, easy to understand. Going for a walk by myself, well, how about we do some Frosted Flakes and some YouTube or something? Come on, right? Let's relax. Let's hang out. But if you have a friend, if you have a lovely friend to walk with you and says, hey, let's go for a walk together right away. Let's go for a walk, no problem. So the same is true with our meditation practice and our study and our doing good deeds together. And, this space is there to make that accessible, to make that happen, right? We've got a lot of people who are part of this Sangha, and we can support each other. Even if it's only one other person that joins us, right away, the benefit is there, right? And with all these kinds of things, it's always that intentionality and that sincerity to step forward. And the more empowered and enriched that intentionality and sincerity is, the more ready you will be to step into following through with that when the conditions are ripe for it. It's not a scramble. I need to go walk. I need to go outside, or I need to find someone to meditate with me tomorrow. It's just that you nurture that seed in a really deep way, and you ask for support. How do we get this to grow, right? How do we get this to happen? That is your lifeboat. When you practice well, you become a refuge for yourself and also for your loved ones. If you can transform your family into a Sangha, other people come and take refuge in your family. If you're able to bring a few families together, you set up a Sangha. And if the practice goes well in your group, it becomes a refuge for many other people. When we are in a Sangha, we are like a drop in a great river. We allow the Sangha to hold us and transport us, and our fear, pain, and suffering are recognized, embraced, and transformed. So maybe we take a few moments to sit and breathe together. And if anyone does feel inspired to share something or ask a question, then the space is there for that. But especially just to sit and breathe together and enjoy our lifeboat. Okay, my dear friends, thank you all so much for being a part of this Sangha. And we'll just finish off with 3 sadhus, and we can enjoy chanting together and sending out this energy of loving kindness and this experience of having a lifeboat, right? Going together as a river outward towards all those people that we care about and all those people that we don't even know, and also kind of sending out towards those people maybe we have difficulties with, just the simple wish and aspiration to share this safety and peace that our Sangha gives us. Okay, thank you so much, dear friends. We will have a new schedule for the time being, which will be 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. New York City time every day. So the morning sessions, we're actually going to start to do new programming where we will watch a dharma talk from a teacher together. Sometimes there'll be maybe a guided meditation. Sometimes it'll be a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, but just a talk that I feel is, a talk that inspires me, and maybe some other people can share if they have some inspiration or someone they might want to listen to. You can pass it along to me. Okay, so 8 a.m. and then 12 hours later at 8 p.m. All right. Bye, everybody. Be happy. Okay. So friends, on